I know you might get ultra icy when it comes to tournaments, but
Are you man trying to play or now? What's good?
I'm semi-retired.
Semi.
yeah.
I'm fully retired.
I'm playing. You just saying that.
This is what I'm talking about. You don't get.
No.
For old time's sake. Yeah.
I'm asking the man then.
Or is it going to be an Inception thing? If so, I'll step away.
It's fine. I was part of this session, so
Me and
you know,
JJ
we go around. We're good. Exactly. You know, from the chat.
I'm genuinely asking because obviously you're down by the sounds of it.
Yeah, man.
Wait,
Sounds like it'll be fun.
and the only way I'm going to be down is if there's something to come out of it. Like, what are we winning?
He's got rewards.
What's the reward?
It's intrinsic.
You can't just play just for the fun of it.
No.
Damn, Dave. That sounds like that Mamba mentality, man.
No, I fully need to win something.
See, look how he's treating his teammates.
I'm not putting my knees through nothing, like all that for nothing.
No, I think it's like medals and trophies and stuff.
Medals and trophies, that it. Count me out, please. I'm
Oh,
done.
you want
money.
You want what? You want reward money?
Monetary rewards.
If there's money, I'm in. Like, if we're winning some peas, or at least let me get some kicks. Like, let me get something.
Do they even do that these days?
Well, you want kicks for, you don't hoop. So.
Fam, you can buy kicks though.
No, I don't want to.
All that money.
Basically, if it's just for banting, then man's not really on it. Like, I'm down.
Not for shits and giggles, no.
Nah,
Alright, well,
But,
you know.
No bragging rights.
nah. Who am I bragging to? For what?
Get me,
to be fair,
you're in your later years and you're still giving it to these young bucks, man. Pause.
yeah.
Nah, I don't need to prove that, man. I'm
Hey,
down to
no
it,
doubt,
man.
no doubt.
But man, if you man want to go down there, I'll happily come and support.
A motive was requested.
Wait, hold
I offered one
on.
up,
So you would go all that way just to watch these man, and just not
And not
play?
participate.
Just to watch these man. These are my guys.
No, but like and not play.
Yeah. I'm a supporter. Like, I support my
JJ,
friends.
it's cool, man.
Hey, listen, I'll
we've
stop
traded,
it.
we've traded the
Stop.
rights to David for you and 2 future first round
Listen.
picks, man. It's fine.
You see, some man didn't want to play LeBron for that reason. You know what I mean? The pressure's too much.
Okay.
Some man don't want to make finals, you know. Some man like to go fishing in the summer.
Yeah,
like.
Their summers are important to them.
Yeah.
But the thing is, then, but some man, all they do is make finals, isn't it? Like, I don't
With
get
that
it.
being
Like,
said, guys, this is episode 48 of this podcast. We are joined by an illustrious member today. Okay, very important to the culture. Got JJ in the house.
JJ Bola.
Illustrious.
Bola in the house. Yeah, illustrious, bro.
That's a
man.
dope
That's what comes down,
introduction, man. Come on.
Appreciate it,
Come on.
appreciate it.
Appreciate
So,
having
yeah,
me,
I'm
man.
rocking the same t-shirt as well.
You know, got
for 2 different reasons, but
Yo, just leave this LeBron stuff out of it.
I'm repping LeBron today, man. I got the it says James on the back.
Do you know what I mean?
Wifey hooked me up with this. Thank you very much, baby. I'm saying it fits well. Fits well. So yeah, man. It's,
I just did the silencer celebration for the listeners, you know.
I mean, LeBron's career's about to be silenced, but it's alright.
Oh, wow.
Wow. But NBA playoffs,
Guys,
man.
man.
Somewhere LeBron's not right now. That's,
Look at that. I haven't watched many of the games just yet, bro.
it's been hype, man.
Yeah, I know I've seen Giannis be killing.
Let's be honest. There's been one good series.
It's been hype. One good series.
Which was that one good series for you?
And it wasn't even really that good. It was only because of the slight rivalry. OKC versus Portland.
So the Denver
That was hype, that was
Denver
hype.
versus Spurs series wasn't
Fam,
good.
listen, Denver's versus Spurs.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Did you know what? Did you watch? Did you
I
watch
watched
series?
it. I watched it, but come on.
No one's really watching that series.
Denver Portland was good.
It was a good series. Denver Portland.
Denver
was a
Portland
good
was
series.
better.
That was,
No, Denver Portland.
listen, it was good, but it was dry. Come on, man. Let's be honest. It was not exciting. Like, are you telling me it's actually exciting?
I've enjoyed it because it's been quite open.
It's good,
Yeah.
but it's been open, right?
I didn't feel the intensity. I didn't feel the rivalry. They were playing good basketball and they were competing, but I didn't feel the intensity of the rivalry. Like, I wanted to see that Dame versus Westbrook rivalry go on a bit longer, you know. But Portland and
They run out of
Nuggets,
energy.
you know, why is Jokic hitting the free to tie the, like trying to hit a free to tie the game from deep, like, man. It's he
you
runs
know-
in reverse, you
Do you
know.
know what I
so
do
it's
think? I
like-
think Denver would have given Golden State a bit more trouble.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
They got more
that's
energy,
true.
man. They
That's
got-
true.
they're
That's
hungry.
true. That's true.
Yeah, man. Even in the East, the first, what happened? Who were Brooklyn playing first round? Bucks.
Philly.
Philly.
Yeah, Philly. They won game one.
That was heated.
That was
Yeah.
a very heated.
That was
series.
heated.
Oh,
Yeah, that
that
was
was
big.
one. No.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that.
Orlando came out and won their first game against Toronto. That was exciting. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think playoffs have been good this year, man. And I think
I know exactly where you're going.
I know.
Go
No,
on,
just say
finish
it.
your sentence. Finish your sentence.
I think playoffs have been good this year.
Why?
Yeah,
And I hope it continues in that manner.
But why? But why?
So that we can have an enjoyable playoff
What's not enjoyable to you?
What's not enjoyable? What's not enjoyable to me is when things are like, when you can just predict it, when you know what's going to happen.
Like what?
When a single team just runs through an entire conference, makes it to the finals, and then flames out. It's not enjoyable.
Wow.
It's not enjoyable. You can't bet money on that. You can't really bet money on that. You could have bet money on
On the 3-1 comeback? Because I did.
Oh, what, like 3 seasons ago?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but
the greatest championship of
But
all
let's
time.
talk about the current playoffs.
Remember the greatest championship of all time?
Current playoffs.
The 3-1 comeback that no one's ever
You
done.
could have bet money Portland versus OKC, Portland versus Denver.
You
could have bet. You could have put some good money on Toronto versus Sixers. You could have won some money either way, man. But you definitely weren't winning money.
I mean,
in
don't worry.
Last place.
Bron's gonna win a chip at Lakers, and when
I
he does,
know you don't believe that. So
I believe that.
We'll keep moving.
I believe that.
Let's keep moving, guys.
Let's keep moving, man. Let's get off the court into the kitchen, And
off the court into the kitchen.
That was nice.
I can't lie to you. That was legit. That was legit.
Guys, I do more than talk trash about LeBron, right? Welcome my segment. My part time.
To be honest, we don't have much news in the kitchen today.
What's going on?
Everything's similar.
It's just a lot of. It's both busy, man.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
I feel like you should say what you told me.
Oh yeah.
Whoa.
So anyway, we tried to record the episode yesterday. Just went horribly wrong in it. No, not the food.
Who's bad in the food, bro? Who bad in
No,
the
not about
jollof?
the food. Like we tried to do something different, and we weren't prepared. We weren't prepared to do what we were trying to do.
Like missing ingredients and shit.
No. More so tools. If that makes sense.
Okay.
So we didn't have the right tools to carry out this dish that we were trying to make. So
Yeah.
we had to scrap it.
No, that makes. But that could be like blooperish content.
No, we got the bloopers. We're gonna keep that. But
Yeah.
in terms of an episode dropping, actually, we're gonna record midweek.
Yeah.
We'll record midweek and we'll have an episode next week, definitely.
Okay.
But in terms of this week, no episode.
Alright, you guys need to try and recreate whatever Thanos was cooking.
Someone said he was frying plantain.
He did not get to eat the finished product, bro. He's fuming,
That's deep,
Yeah.
They fully just like they finish.
You know what's peak as well? Imagine you was cooking one day, yeah, and like people that burst into your house and cut your hand off.
Fair.
In your head, you'd be thinking, "Raw, like things can't get much worse than this." This is terrible. What am I gonna do? I've only got one arm.
Right.
Things can't get much worse than this.
That's a madness. That's a madness.
Yeah, but what else, man? What else is going on? We've got Living and
Yeah,
Chill.
man. Living on Chill. We just had a successful event last week.
I feel like every Living and Chill is a successful game.
Yeah, for real.
Hey, man. Well, obviously JJ's come down. B1's come down, so obviously they know why we're going in it. Like,
For sure.
Get me? But it'll be nice, man. If you can find some time and JP come down and support your boy, innit? Come support the team.
It's summertime.
But I genuinely intend to, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Got a kid at home, it's difficult.
Exactly.
Yeah. Nah, but it was legit, man. We had a couple casting directors, one of whom you may know still. Yeah, man.
Who?
JP, you alright with it, yeah?
Over there, bro. You good?
I'm good. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Nah, I forgot the name, but man, I'll holler at you later. I can't remember the name right now. But a couple casting directors, and we thought this Living on Chill was very useful for the people that came down, because obviously we get a lot of people, creatives, and this time obviously a lot of actors came through because they knew the casting directors were going to come down, and it's just good to hear from casting directors what's needed from the actors, like even like preparing for a casting, like what to do when you walk in the door, like do you understand, like so just giving their perspective on what they want from an actor. So yeah, man, it was dope. I can't lie to you, bare insight.
While we're talking about helping creators, man, I'm gonna give a big shout out to Model Me, a brand new company, I guess.
Yeah,
doing big things for creators and models, trying to get their foot in the door. So I think it's important to give a big shout out. Don't you think that?
Yeah, man, defo.
Right, that's what's up, man.
Yeah, man. Shout out Model Me, get me. Big supporters of TPCP.
Yeah, exactly, man.
Yeah, man.
Big supporters, and Living on Chill, I think as well.
Yeah, Live and Chill. Yeah, for sure,
man.
for sure.
Active in the game.
Very active, to be fair.
What's going on?
Yo, I've never seen Listen, someone needs to tell us the understory. Who did what to who?
This guy, bro.
Oh,
Yeah,
my
legit,
gosh.
bro. Very legit. Good intro, man. Yo. Well, yeah, man. Alright, man. Yeah, man. So, yeah, like you said, you got JJ in the house.
Check out the reviews, though. Get me.
Thank you, B.
Oh, my bad. Obviously, reviews on the Instagram.
Yeah, man.
This week we've got a good one dropping by JP3. Get me? JP3's got one lined up. So by the time you're hearing this, it would have dropped.
That's what's up.
Dropped yesterday. Who wrote the last one?
I think it was me.
Yeah, well, yours was Hannah.
Yeah.
What was that saying?
Hannah's sick, bro.
Serious?
Yeah.
Amazon, right?
Yeah, Amazon.
To be fair, I read the review. I was like, because I don't really watch TV on Amazon like that.
No, man.
I think I'm gonna have to watch the Hannah thing.
Yeah. Hannah's serious.
But it's not about Hannah Montana.
No.
What's that Marvel thing, the black and white thing?
Cloak and Dagger.
There you go.
It's actually back. I've been.
Yeah.
It's
Season-
been back.
Yeah, it's been back, season 2, man.
It's on Prime.
Yeah,
Prime, yeah.
Prime.
Is that any good? I haven't.
JJ, you watched it?
You watched the
I
first
haven't.
season.
It's not gonna lie to you, boy.
It's not how you expect it to be, but it's cool.
No, yeah. I think it's.
Cloak and Dagger was alright.
It's cool. It's
decent,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
You got-
And Things back as well.
What's that?
Runaways.
Even that. I haven't really-
And then for the season 1 yet, B.
Oh, I've got a friend who acted in that.
Swear.
Yeah, Portia Bartley. She's from London, Croydon, but she lives out in LA. Shout out Portia.
Who's that?
Portia, yeah, she's an actress.
from-
She acted in Runaways.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Which
The Marvel
role?
thing, right?
Yeah, which role?
When?
Which role?
Which role? She was. Did you see the black girl with short-haired sides and the?
Oh, this must be season 2, bro.
Yeah, season 2. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So, would you not seen it yet?
JP, I've seen season 2. JP has.
No, I've started it. I'm
Yeah,
like 3
maybe
episodes
she's not
in.
in. I think she's
How do
in
you know?
it.
How do you know Portia?
We met
Take a drive.
when.
Rev that engine.
Oh my gosh! No. We met in when I was in LA.
Okay.
And she does like poetry and stuff.
So we just fly out to LA.
Yeah, if you guys are out there, she'll definitely
that's
take care of you guys.
Catch
Man.
flights,
She's
not
mad cool.
feelings, man.
She's
I
mad
see
cool,
you,
man.
JJ.
You know. So
Was you at the City Bron?
no, this was before he was there. But I'm trying to go now. Trust me. When they win their third chip or their fourth chip, his fourth chip.
His fourth chip. When they win his fourth.
When
Guys,
you know,
killing it.
but let's keep moving. Yeah.
You can see what's wrong with that, right?
Oh, I see what's right with that. Listen, I'm a LeBron fan, but yeah, she's in that, so look out for that.
Yeah.
Man. Look out for that, man. So.
Alright, therefore, I'm gonna check out season 2 when I get some time. When I get some time, anyway.
But welcome, JJ, man. We got you here.
Yeah, thank you, man.
I
Thank you.
speak for everybody when I say we're really happy to have you here.
Therefore,
Very influential.
Yeah, I'll speak for me when I say I'm happy to be here, you know,
that's what's up, man.
because I'm the new person here.
You are, man.
Yeah,
The new
so-
guy.
Yeah, man.
Just member of the team.
I am, you know. So,
So welcome to the podcast.
yeah,
man.
thank you for having me, man.
Tell us about you, man. I don't want to big you up too much.
Yeah, so I'm a writer, I'm a poet, a novelist, educator. I've written. So I guess like the last thing I did was my debut novel that came out close to 2 years now. It's 2 years in June. No Place to Call Home. I've got another book coming out in September, which is just starting the promo like soon, or should be starting the promo soon, called Mask Off, which is about masculinity and kind of like being a man in the modern era, and just like looking at different cultures and like different historical periods and stuff, where like in certain cultures where it's even like now where it's cool for a man to walk down the road and hold hands and stuff, like Nigeria, Congo, etc. But like here in London, like you do that, it's a bit funny, isn't it? And people, especially if like 2 young black men or whatever, and so just looking at how like masculinity is affected in different cultures and different settings, and doing a couple things as well, trying to get into theatre, so working on a couple plays that we're doing, hopefully trying to put into production. So just trying to write, man, trying to write. So
because it kind of ties in with our theme for today. Would you ever feel like, or do you ever feel like you could make your first book, No Place to Call Home? Could you think that would be able to cross over into like theatre?
Oh, that theatre definitely, even film, like I would honestly like. So Netflix tweeted. Do you see? I don't know if you saw. Yeah, Netflix tweeted. Netflix tweeted. They're looking for. So they've been commissioning a series of novel adaptations to books. I don't know if you guys saw You.
I haven't seen it, but I know exactly what you're talking
Right,
about.
so You was actually originally a novel.
Okay.
And so they've been like commissioning quite a few. Obviously, it's more US based. And I tweeted them and was like, "Hey boo, like you look like, hey, slide in my DMs." And they got loads of retweets and people were like, "Netflix, you gotta do this." But it's obviously like,
keep the wave going,
you got kind of
Are you
like.
sure they didn't DM you?
They haven't DM'd me yet.
Bruv, check your
Yeah, you gotta
DMs.
check your. There's a main one and there's the
other one.
You know what? Let me even double
Bruv, check
check
that one. 'Cause I got messaged by them one time.
Is it?
And I completely
guys.
missed it for like a year.
A year.
Bruv, I didn't know that inbox existed.
Oh
There's
my
2 inboxes.
God.
She have
Only
your,
certain man have 2 inboxes. JJ.
Inbox.
so on Twitter, right? You have your main inbox, but then there's a tab that says I forgot
Message request or something.
yeah, message request.
It's
And
basically
that's-
for anyone who doesn't
Follow
follow
you.
you.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
so yeah, man,
And
check
so,
that.
Yeah, just double check, boy.
Certain man, I know certain man's got bare messages in there.
Listen.
So check that inbox. Check that inbox. It's
You probably
important,
got bare messages in there.
I reckon
Double
JJ, I
check
reckon
it.
you can.
JJ, you probably got a few, man.
If Netflix has DM'd me and I've missed it.
Could you imagine?
You, man.
That's not even a bad.
Imagine
That's not even a bad fumble.
they DM me when the book came out and was like, yeah, that's a mad fumble, bro.
He's thinking about it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, guys, I gotta go.
We're gonna go to break. We're gonna go to break. Let JJ check his Twitter DMs.
Yo.
Nah, it's a madness, bro. Yeah, check that.
Yeah,
Because it's
definitely
important.
have to.
But yeah, man. So like, obviously, we have a good rapport going on because we've known each other for a while. Like, how do we like? What's the history behind?
I
this
mean, like,
relationship?
yeah, it's funny because we, especially everyone here, we go way back, and I know all you guys originally as rivals, as pagans, as enemies, people.
Man,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? Never meant to like you guys. It was on site.
Yeah,
like,
true,
it was always on site. Well, on the court, obviously. And then just from then, as we get older, and we all kind of go through our different stages of life, and you know, we continue to form connections and stuff. And what's been beautiful is like seeing everyone's transition from the basketball court to whatever it is they're passionate about in real life. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Whether that's like creative stuff, whether that's business, whatever it is, you're seeing people. I think there's such a massive wave of influence from like the basketball community in other fields. Like for instance, if you look at even like Daps, who's doing like, do you know what I mean? I feel like no one really talks about that. If you look at Orenze, who's basically plays on like National Theatre, winning Olivier Awards and stuff, like no one's really talking about like, you know, where the influence comes from. Do you know what I'm saying? So I think like, yeah, there's been a lot of guys that have done a lot for the culture that's come from like the same environment. So yeah, that's at the root of it, man. That competition. So anytime anyone wants some buckets, just know that there's a squad here. Like, you know.
Yeah, this 5 right here is kind of solid. I can't even lie. It's tough.
I feel like we could legit compete at least D1. I say BBL.
No. Some say,
I mean,
let's slow down because we're gonna get tired first.
yeah,
quarter.
that's true.
First
No,
quarter,
if basketball games were one quarter,
Yeah,
I think we'll be united.
Youth games.
Youth games, yo.
I was talking about youth games the other day. Like, what's the setup? Is it 2 halves? Like, what's the 2 halves?
Yeah,
Just
two
like-
halves of
2 halves, but 15
Yeah,
minutes and then
yeah.
running clock as well, and no dunks. Oh my day! Listen, yeah, we played. Who I can't even remember.
me.
It was Westminster. Yo, listen, yeah, and they were you lot were fouling us all game. You were fouling us all game, yeah. Refs weren't calling nothing, and then we ended up losing. But basically, the last 10 seconds or something, like, or the last like 30 seconds, last minute, I basically just had enough. I got the ball and just like dunked it.
Grabbed the ball. Yeah.
Was it Crystal Palace?
Yeah, Crystal
I
Palace.
do
Two
remember
for 2
this, you
hands,
know.
yeah, and just
And then-
you're not allowed to dunk.
Yeah.
And if
Fuck
you get
this shit. And he dunked it.
if you dunk it, you get ejected basically.
It was the end of the game.
It was the end of the game, so I dunked it, and then the ref sent me out.
The thing is, I know JJ had Barney's back in the day.
Do you know what? Can I just say something about that? You know, the first time I saw him was at Rough and Ready.
Sheesh.
Right?
yeah.
I don't know if you guys remember Rough and Ready.
Rough and Ready.
That's taking it back. So I think there was like a competition. I don't know if it was a dunk competition or it was just even a warm up.
I think I might have seen this dunk
walked in,
still.
This guy's standing underneath the pass.
Yeah.
Legs, bang.
What'd
off
he
the
do?
Spot,
What did you do?
off the spot. He jumped off the spot
And did
through the legs.
through the legs?
No, it
it wasn't through the legs. It was the pump reverse.
Yeah. It was a pump. It was this one.
Yeah,
the
so
pump.
he-
It was a double pump thing.
he-
Are you sure?
Yeah,
I feel like Ibrahim might have done that.
Everyone was there.
Not off the
No,
floor.
Ibrahim-
Because I think Ibrahim, I remember seeing him do off the floor first. I can't remember if it was rough and ready, but I remember seeing him do it.
Yeah.
But when yours was the pump reverse, I remember.
Bro, that's disgusting. Like the ball's on the floor, you just jump, you
good
bring it down.
Do you know what's so funny as well? I played with somebody, right? That we heard that we were gonna play against you, and they couldn't stop talking. Like, oh my god, nah, he's gonna do this. He's gonna do that.
Say names,
I won't bet anyone.
We're old now.
But the way
gloves are off.
The way he
Yeah, the gloves are off, B.
I swear.
Took that talk, man.
What's up? Names.
Tag them.
LB.
Oh! My God.
It was a university game, yeah. It was a university game, yeah.
But when
He
JJ
was at
Greenwich.
Greenwich. He was at Greenwich, bro. And we travelled up to your place.
Yeah.
And like for some reason he couldn't stop. And he's like, bro, let's relax. It's cool because you stunk the ball very angry. Like he was angry.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
Like, you
I
used to
don't
really-
know why I was. Yeah, I think I had some internal rage. Like,
bro. So it's like when you used to like bang, it was like,
Do you know what's funny about that? Sorry, no, go on, finish.
no.
The transition from seeing you play basketball to how you are as an actual person. It's night and day, man. It's night and day.
You know
when I
what?
first saw you, my whole team was terrified. Everyone was terrified.
no way.
I swear.
It's so mad, yeah, because it's like basketball it's just a different energy. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And
definitely.
literally, like dunking the ball. That's why I love dunking. Was just like such a release of tension.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like just there's no other feeling of just like dunking the ball as hard as you possibly can. Like that was the best feeling. But off the court, I was just such a chill dude. I was just like so like just relaxed and just like carefree and whatever. So whenever like we'd actually get the chance to hang out first time, I'd be like,
Intimidating.
oh yeah, Ashley. And I'm like, yeah, what's me?
Yeah.
And it was even worse when I got into poetry because it's like I remember like one of the first early gigs that I did, and a couple of the guys from London Met like came. And I was just watching like, what the hell's going on? Imagine like, imagine like, I don't know, obviously I'm going to compare myself to LeBron because he's my favourite player. But imagine LeBron James suddenly like doing spoken word. Like people will be like...
How did that happen?
Yeah.
But then how did that happen for you? How did you transition from playing basketball to spoken word?
I mean,
poetry?
it was just like, so for me, I've always had a love of reading, even like from before ball, like primary school, secondary school, used to love reading. Some of our like road games, I remember like whilst we were playing, like we'd be talking about books like with guys like Emeka, Deji, whatever, talking about like our GCSE literature stuff, like Shakespeare, all this kind of stuff, yeah. And then like I still loved books throughout when I was playing, but I never thought writing was always something for, okay, maybe I'll do it when I'm older. Like I always had this thing where you had to be much older, much more experienced in life to have something to write about. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And at the stage that I was in life, I didn't think I had anything to write about. But all of a sudden, when I stopped playing ball, I just found myself able to write. So I kind of like had a lot of energy and a lot more free time, and was just able to express myself. And then randomly one day, shout out to Deng, he was just like, yeah, you got to go to an open mic and read some poems. Like, and I'd never heard of an open mic. I like did not know what they were. I'd never been in that environment before. And I remember we went to a place, Troy Bar, just off Old Street. And I read my first like proper open mic there, and people was like, "Oh!" But I had one poem. I had that one poem, that love poem. Don't worry, I hate that poem. I just want to love her like a mother loves her. Oh my days, yeah.
It's the sickest.
That, but yeah, I can't even remember it, but I had that one poem, and I used to go. And then after like when people loved it, I would go to like different spots with that one poem and then perform. So it'd still be new to the new audience, innit? Did that for a few months, and then after like you come back to the same place and then like, oh, you've done that poem before, like it's good, like, but have you got any more? And I was like, oh shit, I gotta write some more. And then I kept writing, and it just kind of kept unfolding.
But has it always been something easy just to kind of get a pen, just sit down and just...
I wouldn't necessarily say easy, like it's just, I think everyone has their mode of like communicating and expressing themselves. And I think I just found what worked well for me. Like my little brother plays the trumpet, and he's basically like been a boy genius from like a long time. He teaches people like and composes music and stuff and whatever. And from a young age, but I've never been like that musically orientated like how he is.
Oh,
So
you play the guitar.
yeah, but
Come
not.
on,
You
that's
play the
not-
guitar as well.
But that's not like played it.
Man,
Like
many times.
listen, I
He's
can hold a
nice.
couple. I can,
He's
no, I'm a little
lying.
nice,
He's
like
nice
you know,
with
I'm
the
a little
guitar.
like got a little fillet, like on the guitar. But I'm not nice, like. But like you know, there's people who's like nice, like you can confidently be like, this is what I do, like. And I think I just found what it is that worked best for me, and I just kind of kept on doing that, and each time, honestly, like each time, it's like you just fall in love with the process. You fall in love with the fact that you can create something out of nothing, and then take it out there, and then people will relate to it. And, you know, after certain gigs and stuff, I'd have people coming up to me saying, I didn't know how much I needed to hear that. I could relate to this poem so much. It's exactly what I was going through, this, that, and the third. And you would think that it's people who either like have the same background or same experience as you that would have that. But man, it was people from the furthest experience, from the most like different. I had like middle-aged white women from the Isle of Wight like breaking down from my poems and just being like, this is just what I was feeling. And I was like, how are you feeling that? And I'm feeling that, and I'm in ends, like, you know what I'm saying? But like that's the beauty of like art, I think, you know, it connects people from everywhere. So yeah, that's why I like just kind of feel I've been really privileged to be able to do that, to be honest.
That's dope, bro.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
Very, very dope, man. It's like, that's crazy. Like, that's us hearing your story from playing basketball to doing this. And I don't know, like, you've written one book already, you've got another one coming out. And you must be, like, excited about this second book, book coming out. Especially, you said it's on masculinity, right? And it's called Mask Off.
Yeah.
Where did the inspiration for that name come from?
So, yeah.
Exactly what's going on.
Let me not even lie to you, but it was definitely Future.
See, I knew
it was 100. I can't even front. It was 100% Future. Mask Off. Now, like when did that come out? Was it summer 2016 or was it 2017? Maybe. Yeah. Was it?
I want to say
older than that.
2017.
Is it older
you know.
than
I
that?
think 2016.
I think 2016.
2016, yeah. Because March Madness was before.
March Madness was a while.
Yeah,
still.
it was maybe 2015 or.
Let's say 2016.
Let's say 2016, right? And I remember hearing that, and you know the flute, like that was just hypnotic to me. Do you know what I mean? Like that sample, like I was just like, yo, where does this sample come from? Like I have to find out. There's something in me that's just telling me, like I have to find out where this sample comes from. So I started doing a bit of research, and then I found out that I found a song, original song called "Prison Song" by Tommy Butler, which was written for the play Selma, which was about the Martin Luther King's led marches back during the civil rights era, and then the song talks about, so the prison song talks about essentially police brutality, talks about, so it's a man singing who's been imprisoned, talking about his time in prison, talking about going back home to his wife, talking about longing for freedom. And I thought, like there was, you know, at that time in the 1970s, like a black man playing this song, talking about this. Fast forward 20, 30 years later, there's another black man who sampled the same song, but talking about drugs and girls and sex and material stuff. And like, that's both representations of like masculinity at the time, right? And it's funny how music connects that, and just how much like music has informed, you know, the way we see ourselves, like as people and as men particularly. Do you know what I'm saying? And so when I started to think deeper into that subject and draw the parallels and stuff, that was just like, right, the book kind of like unfolded from there naturally, you know. But yeah, definitely like, and you know, Future's got, Future, like, he's got his issues with toxic masculinity as well. So I like to think he's a good sample.
Do you know,
of stuff like
do you know what's funny about what you just said? Like you said, like the original song talks about
like
brutality.
Yeah.
Those same things still exist today.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's sick to make that connection.
Yeah, man. And it's like the music isn't, well, at least the mainstream music, it's not so much talking about it in the same way, like as it was previously, you know. So
Unless
it's
you're like a Kendrick or Cole.
right.
Enjoying it, yeah, for real. Yeah.
So, yeah, man. But yeah, that was the source of that. So definitely shout out to Future for that one, I have to say. Otherwise, the book wouldn't exist, you know.
Can I ask you a question? Like, what's your method of sitting down and coming, like putting everything to pen and paper? Like, is there a particular method that you?
Yeah, definitely. So I almost like treat it the same way I would, like approaching a basketball game or basketball season. You know, so like my exercise almost like always doubles. So I start like running a lot and stuff and trying to get myself in better shape just to like clear my mind and make sure I'm able to concentrate. Because with writing a book or whatever project that you're working on, like as much as being creative is important and thinking up with new ideas, the ability to sit down and concentrate for a long time is as important as whatever you're about to create. So even if you're painting, like if you have to sit down, if you've got 4 hours in a day to paint, like you have to be able to maximize those 4 hours, you know, and not get distracted by this, that, or whatever. So it's like, okay, I have to zone in on that. I try and take away like as many distractions as possible. More often than not, like I'll be using social media less or completely off it. If it's like a completely new project, during the beginning at least, I'll be like completely off it. I try to eat better, so like, I mean, I've cut out meat and sugars and stuff, like more or less generally anyway. But like, I really try to do the things that elevate like my thinking, so that processes are just natural, so that you maximize on your energy. Because I feel like, I mean, just as anything else, just like with athletes, right? I think diet is important for artists as well. You know, you are what you eat to a certain degree, and I think if the energies is quite important for me. So if the energies that you're taking in, whether it's music, whether it's food, right, influences what you produce, then you have to be careful about what you take in as well. Like I really believe there's an artistic diet that you have to follow as an artist. And so like I have a process for that. I have a diary that I write stuff on. Like it's kind of mad, but it makes sense. It's like an organized chaos type thing. But it's all about like getting into that zone. You know what I'm saying? Like when you're in that zone, it's like the ideas just flow. Like it's mad because it's like difficult to function in both worlds, you know. So like now I understand my process a lot better, but when I first didn't understand it, like it was just a bit mad. Like ideas would just pop in and it was just like rah, like what am I, okay, this, and I'll hear conversations, like I'll think about conversations between characters and I'll think, hold on, who's that was that a real conversation? No, that was
okay. Like, because I know other people that are creative, and some use like smoking, you know, to kind of get them to that stage. But you
that's looking at me like
but for you because of all the pre-work that you put into that naturally happens for you. You just go into that zone. That's kind of
I mean, I think everyone has their thing in it. But for me, I don't think like with what I like. So for artists who might like smoke, maybe use weed or whatever to help them get to that stage, like I feel like doing that for me, and not for like them, whatever works for them, whatever. For me, I feel like that's too reliant on something on the outside source. Do you know what I'm saying? Like for something that comes from within. You know, because whatever it is that we're going to produce creatively, it comes from within. It's in us all the time. So what about if you haven't got the gateway source to open up at that time? Is that idea going to come out or not? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so I like to think it's always there, and then I just have to naturally tap into it, like at whatever given moment. You know. So yeah, I tend to kind of stay away from substances.
and in terms of you sitting down, like you said, when did you start writing your latest book?
So this one I started writing last summer.
Yeah. And it's almost...
And it's done now. It's done. It's just like the final edits, but it's pretty much done. Yeah.
Nice, and you don't... Do you bounce your ideas off somebody? Is there like somebody you sit down with?
Yeah.
Like a focus group or something?
Yeah, but I mean, not in the same way as like a focus group, but more so just like general conversations. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it's like, I feel like because most people aren't looking at the conversations that they have from a research point of view, but if you actually stop and just like analyze your week and analyze the different people that you speak to and the subject matters that come up, and then think, hold on, this person gave me some insight about that. I never thought about, oh, okay, this person said this and so forth. And so what I found was just like naturally speaking to people. I'm quite like an open person anyway. I quite like talking to people, especially if it's just like on a train or whatever. Like when I was writing my novel, No Place to Call Home, there were so many times where I would just be on the train or at a random party or whatever, and I just mention, I'm writing this book about identity. Boom, people start telling me everything about them, where they come from, where they were born, what they identify as, X, Y, and I haven't even asked nothing. Do you know what I'm saying?
They're just opening up to you.
Just open up, and I think naturally people have that desire to open up and to connect and to be listened to and to be heard. So it's just like, okay, but so many times when we communicate, when we talk to people at a point of telling our story rather than listening. Do you know what I'm saying? So definitely. Imagine two people in conversation and they're both trying to tell the other person something.
Yeah, people talk, have conversations with an intent to get their point across.
To respond, didn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
To hear what it's supposed to be said.
Literally,
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just like, at this point, I'm usually, especially when I'm writing, I'm like, right, I'm not even saying things. I'm not really trying to have an opinion. I'm just listening. Whether it's listening to dialogue, whether it's listening to ideas, or just the most random thing might spark an idea to something. Do you know what I'm saying? And then it leads to, I should do this, I should do that, or I've never thought about this. And then it just kind of goes from there,
That's dope, man.
Appreciate it, man.
Another question, sorry.
No, it's alright, bro. Go ahead,
So
Mr. Interviewer.
Obviously, the finished article, all right, you've just written it, it's rough, all right? Is there a specific person that you might say, you know what?
Do you have an editor?
Yeah, not so much an editor, but somebody you give it to just to have a read that you trust their opinion. Is there somebody that's there for you?
So at the moment, luckily I've got an agent, and the agent's the person that I can go to. But what's really, I had quite a bad experience initially, right? So sorry, not with my agent, but when I wrote my first novel, boom, finished it. And I was like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. I've never written a novel before. I don't know if it's good or how people are going to take it. So I had I had about 10 friends who were readers, quote unquote. These people read books, were interested in books, and passionate about books, who read books regularly. So I hollered at them and was like...
You at me now, man, these books,
No, but I didn't know you were information at that time, bro.
I'm messing.
But these man were books are my thing. Do you know what I'm saying?
I got you.
So personal. Okay, for the next one.
Go on.
And then I was like, okay, so I've written the first draft of this book. I want to send you the first 5 chapters just to get a bit of feedback in terms of, because obviously they can't read the whole book because that would take a while. But just the first 5 chapters, genuinely within the first 5 chapters of a book, you can tell whether or not you're going to like it, or whether it's going to be readable or interesting enough to keep your attention and all of that. So I sent it to 10 people, and they were like, yeah, cool. Oh my days, man, you're writing. Yo, yeah, boom, cool, sent it. I was like, all right, yeah, okay. Bro, I haven't. Bare excuses
all
came.
That stuff, yeah.
Bare excuses came, and in the end, only 1 out of the 10 actually gave me something back and was like, oh, you know what, I really like this, I really like that. But for me, I was so fixated on the other 9 who didn't respond. Do you know what I mean? It took a while for me to value the response of that one person. Do you know what I mean? Which is really important because they're saying some very valid things. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And at that point, I was like, right, it's not about going to so many people. It's about actually that one person who maybe knows your voice, maybe knows what you're trying to say, and can give you honest feedback.
Therefore, yes.
Yeah, but I understand that now. But at first, it was kind of ooh, these guys. Okay, we're boys, yeah. You okay? Yeah. All right. See if I holler you again.
It's like that. Right, last question. Sorry.
Last question.
Right.
Just in case anyone's listening to this and they're writing.
I hope they are.
Yeah, man. I mean,
yeah, for real.
No, anyone who's listening is right.
Oh, anyone's right. Yeah.
That has written.
Yeah.
Right, how would they go about getting their book published?
Okay, that's a great question.
JP,
yeah, that's a great question. So, the industry is the industry, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just like any industry, you have to have your connections. You have to alter. I came at it almost from a very kind of naive, artistic, creative point of view initially, thinking, okay, so it's going to be about literature and storytelling and people are going to... And then I saw people just writing trash who were getting published and I was like, oh, okay. you know, and that person knows that person, and then just it happening because of that. And so it was kind of disheartening at first, but like you have to balance it. So you have to make the connections. You have to be out there. You have to make people believe that you have a narrative, a story that you're passionate about, that, you know, is going to be something that is long lasting. At least this is the approach that I take, right? Because it's about purpose, it's about substance. It's not just about getting published or getting something out there, but it's about like what kind of legacy you're going to leave behind with this. Like, how is it? What kind of impact is your work going to make? So make those connections. Think about your long-lasting impact as well. But like, make connections not just within the industry, but also on local people. Like, so for me, my journey up was like a lot of the times was through open mic nights. I went to bare open mic nights, bare. Like, people don't even realize, like, I would go to work, then drive to Birmingham, do a poetry gig in Birmingham for like 20 minutes, right? 2-3 hour drive to Birmingham, poetry night for 20 minutes, come back, get home at like 1 a.m, 2 a.m, up for work at 6 a.m. next day. Like, and that was just because I flipping loved this thing. Like, it was inexplicable. Like, now I'm old and tired, so I've got to get my feet. I don't do that as much. But like, just the burning passion I had for this thing, like, it was just like, it's crazy that, you know, that experience of like sharing just words, no music, nothing else, like room full of people and it's just silent, you know what I'm saying? And you just have those words. And I think people, especially now in the age of social media, and they see the follows or the likes or the blue ticks or this or whatever, they forget to go back to the root of the thing, which is just like following what you're passionate about. Do you know what I'm saying? So make those connections with your readers, but also make connections within the industry if you can. And there's a lot of support out there for writers as well. Like submit to prizes, submit to different funds and so forth. Like, I've been quite lucky to get funding for quite a few projects that I've done. And now I'm at the stage where like I'm getting more funding because I'm producing more work. But I'll be honest, like, it's not easy. You know, like, you know, you dream for something, you want something to happen. It's like, yeah, I want to write a book, and then someone comes like, okay, cool, write a book. And you're like, oh shit, I've got to write a book. It's like, oh, okay, 90,000 words? 90,000 words. Sorry, not to go on, but 90,000 words is long.
Yeah.
No,
Like,
wait, hold up. What were dissertations in uni?
10.
So that's it. Okay, I'm thinking, because I did masters, that might be like 20, maybe 30. But 90?
90,000, like the average novel was,
too much,
my
man.
first novel was 90,000 words. Fam, whoo, it is long. And so when you have to just stay on it, like, when you have to be so consistent just throughout.
How do you not waffle?
No, but part of storytelling is a little bit of waffling though. Yeah, like, it's creative waffling, it's tangent.
Creative.
There's
man.
probably a lot of filler in it.
Yeah, a lot of filler.
Conversation,
And Dragon Ball Z
description.
episodes, yeah.
Not as much as Dragon Ball Z, boy. They be dragging their days out.
Yeah, but yeah, 95
You know, I mean, don't waffle too much. Like, it still has to make sense. But like, you have to just, what I find fascinating here is just listen to people tell stories, right? Where, like, next time, I don't know, your partner, your friend, whatever, talks about work, like, just listen to how they tell you about work. They'll come up to you and say, imagine someone got fired, right? Yo, you never guess what happened, man. Yo, Bob from accounts got fired. Yeah. Right? But then they'll start going on, and then like, I had salad for lunch, yeah, and the man's coming back from salad, I was a little bit late, yeah, and then like, actually I was thinking, I saw one fine girl crossing the road, like, you know, and then I was thinking, should I get a number? But if I'm late again, because my boss is, you know, all of those, they're fillers. The story is, Bob from accounts got fired,
let's get to
right? Like,
But
no one comes up to you and just says, Bob got fired. You know what I'm saying?
No, I hear you.
So like, we have that natural storytelling instinct in us, you know, and we know it, but we just don't really apply it analytically because we're using it in social situations, you know.
That's dope.
Yeah. I can lie, that's legit, man.
Trust me.
It's good insight.
Appreciate it.
Very, very good insight, man. Alright, so that kind of links up to our next topic. About writing.
Definitely links up for sure. The importance of writing and how you utilize your fillers, boy.
Yeah, for real. So like, if hopefully, you know, in future, JJ, you're writing, you know, you get a couple of books published, and then something gets made into a movie, gets adapted into a movie.
Oh, I'd love that.
Because that happens a lot, obviously, in Hollywood and in the film industry. But sometimes it works, other times it doesn't. You know. So today we've come up with a couple books that have been adapted into movies that we've all seen, or the books that we've read, and we're just going to list a couple. I don't know some of your, I can't remember some of your picks, your choices, but yeah, man, let's just start with Animal.
You can start with me, I guess. So I picked, first and foremost, Lord of the Rings. Originally published, I think, in 1932, so obviously a while back.
1932?
I think so. I'm pretty sure.
Man of fighting wars, and someone's writing books, yeah?
Swear entertainment's got to be created somehow.
It took like 10 years to write Lord of the Rings, isn't it?
Bro, I mean, process.
Did you pick this because of that movie that came out?
What movie?
Tolkien or whatever.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
Oh,
yeah,
no, not even.
Really?
I don't think I've even seen that.
Yeah, the guy. What's the guy's name?
J.R. Tolkien.
Yeah, there's a movie about him, and he's
Serious?
yeah.
I mean, he was a serious guy. He was.
You might need to watch this movie, bro.
I might have to. So originally, The Hobbit was written first. So you know, The Hobbit was eventually spun off as well.
Yeah,
horribly so. But I wasn't feeling the Hobbit series, man. I think it was one of them that I thought was semi decent.
I ain't even seen it, bro.
Yeah, you ain't missing out.
Yeah,
Lord of the Rings is where it's really at. And originally, so he wrote the Hobbit series, and then it was like, well, we want to know more about these hobbits. Like, what's the rest of the story? So then he wrote Lord of the Rings. And Lord of the Rings is the main story that you see in the films, and I guess just coming from like a book aspect, it's very. The books don't even do the film justice. Or, the films don't even do the books justice. Sorry, the other way around. The books are so vivid. Like I think that style of writing, man, the other book I chose is similar as well. It's a bit more modern.
Yeah.
But it's like it's so in depth. You have to create this world that doesn't exist at all through words, and I think I'm sure you can appreciate it. So I read it when I was 13, 14.
Oh, slow down.
Yeah. I was. To be fair, when I was young, I was really into books as well.
Yeah,
It wasn't something that I continued on with, but I was really into books when I was younger. So I read that, and there were books. There were genres. There were books of a similar genre that I was reading as well. That were just about that kind of like mystery, that kind of like
fantasy,
and that world. It was engrossing. It's kind of why I got into comics, to be fair with you. And so I read Lord of the Rings. It took me forever. It's a serious book. I didn't actually read. So I didn't read the other parts of the story. I read the original Lord of the Rings book. And then I think 2003.
Okay.
They dropped the film. The first film's like 3 hours 20 minutes.
What do you think of the film?
The film is insane, man. It's insane. Like it's like I say, it's even nothing like the book. The book, there's so much more that goes on in the book in terms of character development, in terms of plot twist, story.
Yeah.
But obviously, for an adaptation, the film itself is already 3 hours 20 minutes.
Yeah.
How much more can you throw in there? But I think they do a good job. I think they do a really good job. I think it's cast terrifically. Which is I think is a big problem for adaptations is how you cast, especially if you've been if you only watched the film because you heard the book was good, you could care less who the character is.
Of course.
But if you know the character from the book and their mannerisms, how they carry themselves, their own personal quests, I think one thing you get from a book that you can't necessarily get from a film, maybe a TV show, is each person's individual journey. And Lord of the Rings still does a great job of that because they've got the 3 chapters. They do a tremendous job of that as well. So Lord of the Rings, I think, are very well received via film.
Yeah, definitely.
I think the franchise itself made like it isn't the Billies. I can't remember how much.
Billies?
Yeah, the
Lord of the Rings, yeah?
The franchise itself. Off a 248 million budget as well.
For all three movies?
They were all filmed together.
Wow.
They were all filmed together and then released 1 year after the other.
That's dope.
Man.
I literally only watched Lord of the Rings because of my brother. I was like, what is this? And then he's like, nah, it's lit. It's lit. It's lit. And I watched it. I thought, nah, this is alright still. I'm never reading the books though. Man ain't got that kind of time.
Yeah, now I don't feel.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I haven't read the books, but like I'd love to. But now it's a bit.
Yeah,
it's a sitting.
It's a good year.
Like I said, I think it took me a full school year to read that book.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Because you can't just read it by itself. Like you have to read other books with it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. During school, you're still reading other books as well.
Yeah. True.
You know what I'm saying? Remember going practicing that as well.
Yeah.
What's your other pick?
So my other pick is I guess the Chronicles of Narnia. That's the Journeys Through Narnia. The Chronicles of Narnia. Serious books, right?
I love Narnia,
man. I'm telling you.
Oh my gosh.
B1,
serious.
JP, you read these books?
B1's not.
I seen the movie though.
I ain't even seen the movie. I'm not
school?
Nah, I ain't.
In
nah.
school,
School,
yeah.
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 In school.
In
Chronicles of
school?
Narnia.
Yeah.
Did you show it to the kids or did you?
No.
Oh,
When I was a kid.
Dave.
I was sorry. But honestly, go on, what did you want to say?
Nah, I'll save it.
No, honestly, I haven't seen this movie. Like, it's not because I'm saying that it's rubbish or whatever. I just haven't had an opportunity. I think
So the Chronicles of Narnia, I don't think is as well received.
okay. Is that the one with the cupboard?
Yes, Lion Witch in the Wardrobe.
Yeah.
Lion Witch in the Wardrobe, sick book. Sick book. When I say more modern, it's more modern than Lord of the Rings, but I mean Lord of the Rings is set in a time.
Okay.
And you're bringing back some serious nostalgia, man.
Bro, like, there was
gosh.
one other series of books, and I can't remember what it was called because I wanted to talk about that. They made one of the films, but they never made the rest.
Goosebumps, R.S. Stein.
No,
Bruv, don't get me started with
Listen.
Goosebumps.
Them shits.
Goosebumps back in the
Yo,
day.
did you guys read the one where you could choose?
Yeah.
And at the end, the option.
Yeah, the option.
Page,
yeah.
go to page, if you want them to open the door or whatever. Oh my gosh.
But I think it was like primary school.
Yeah,
Bruv,
yeah,
primary,
yeah,
bruv.
yeah, primary,
I'm not
yeah.
going to even mug it if it's... But what I wanted to say, what was your favourite Goosebumps book? Like what villain? Like, the ones that stick out in my mind is the one with the camera, that if you take a picture of somebody, the camera, they go
Oh,
inside
yeah,
the
yeah,
camera.
yeah.
Or, there's three now. There's the one with the ventriloquist, the dummy.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Fire.
Or the guy that couldn't take off the mask when he put it on. The child.
I think I saw that one on TV. You know,
Yeah,
the TV show.
yeah,
I think I saw that one on TV. I don't think I ever read it.
Goosebumps is sick.
Yeah, Goosebumps is
Those adaptations
so
are dope.
That's dope.
Yeah, book to TV, innit?
Yeah, but the TV.
There's a film though, right?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's Jack, is it Jack Black?
Yeah.
Jack Black. Yeah,
Yeah.
What's he saying?
Pants.
it's not the one though.
Nah.
I couldn't do it. I already knew.
It's tough, man. It's tough. To recreate that on the screen and
But the thing, they did it well for the TV show. Why couldn't they do it well with the movie? Like, what was it that went wrong?
You gotta think of the times, bro.
Times, yeah, definitely.
It's back in the day. Do you know what I'm saying? And fresh off the book, you're seeing it on TV, you're thinking, oh shit.
Like a TV show is like,
But
oh, wow.
so much has happened in between. It's like,
yeah, other things have come.
Some things just need to be left alone.
yeah.
Definitely.
That's true. That's definitely true.
Like Green Lantern.
Well, do you know what? Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, Lion Witch in the Wardrobe. Like I say, slightly more modern, but I think generally didn't have the same success as Lord of the Rings because Lord of the Rings is so impactful, it's so powerful. I feel like Lord of the Rings really just drove like a whole genre of TV as well. Like I feel like a lot of this kind of like mystical old age TV and film that we see is all Lord of the Rings. But Lion Witch in the Wardrobe, so what's the word I'm looking for? Like the way it's explained, the way they elaborate upon it, like just everything that's going on in the books. And I think because of the age you're at as well, because it's young characters as well. I think I'm drawn to it more.
Yeah.
I was young at the time. It's like I really could live in this world. Like I really could go through the wardrobe into Narnia, and a whole bunch of madness is kicking off. Whereas Lord of the Rings is like, I ain't never found that ring, B.
Yeah.
But some of the characters, I can't remember the characters by heart, but like kind of like the tree people, like actual trees.
I remember the trees.
Yeah, man. Even
The man then came to fight one time.
Serious,
I remember
man.
that, yeah.
So it's I think those adaptations work. I think those two specifically work well, just because the genre itself is something you really want to see on TV or on film, should I say? Again, the casting is important, but it's about the story you tell about each individual character. And Lord of the Rings is literally about a group of people in different areas taking a journey to the exact same place.
Yeah.
So it's like how everyone's arriving at where they arrive,
Kinda
and
like
who, how they align themselves with each other,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. So Lord of the Rings definitely for me.
A bit like the playoffs.
I like that callback. I like that.
You know what I'm saying? Some people don't get that far.
Alright, man. Before we get back into it, alright, so my two picks, well, the first one is The Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh,
So, and the thing is, in a lot of my situations when I watch a movie that I've read the book on, I normally like happen to just stumble upon the book, then see the movie. With Wolf of Wall Street, I can't remember what made me read this book, but I definitely did read it before I watched the movie. So, Wolf of Wall Street is about Jordan Belfort, who is a trader, and he creates a brokerage firm that works with like penny stocks basically, and they just make a ton of money. And it's about his lifestyle and some of the crime element that comes into it, because obviously they're cheating the system, and then his like downfall in his business and personal life. It's basically an autobiography. But like a memoir, a collection of events that happened in a period of his life, and it just basically delves into how he started, the people he came across, and how he built his basically enterprise to where he got to, and then the lifestyle that came with it. Because it's America, so you know it's crazy in America. You know what it's like: money, sex, drugs. They do not shy from this. He doesn't shy from this at all in his book. Like from jump, it's just nuts. So yeah, I was in uni. I want to say probably around these times where I read the book, and so it just like intrigued me. I was like entertained by everything that was going on in the book and the characters within it as well. And he is a very, how do I describe this guy? He was very drug filled. Because of the time as well, but he had such a drive to be successful, so that was interesting as well. And as much as he ended up having a downfall due to certain things in his life, I don't think that was his aim. His aim was never for these things to come to an end, but it was not knowing for him when to stop, when to let things go. Of course. So that was in like 2007, I believe the book was published. Then 6 years later, Martin Scorsese decided to direct this movie, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, which we all know is a dope actor. I think this is one of the roles that everyone was cheering for him to get an Oscar for. Did you man watch this movie?
Yes. Yeah.
What do you man think?
I thought it was dope.
Movie. And the thing is now, the thing about book to movie adaptations is that sometimes you always go into it thinking, I wonder if this movie is going to be just like the book that I read. I have to say that these are one of the few instances where they got it right for the most part. Obviously, it's never scene for scene. Some things they have to let go, some things they just include. But like, I think one of the first things in the movie was him doing crack off the cheeks of this prostitute. Well, that's in the book. Like he.
I was about to say, wasn't it his wife in the movie?
Yeah, his wife is in the movie, but that's not his wife. Bruv, these traders in America, bruv. Drugs, sex, money. Like, it's no joke. So the movie does a great job. I mean, Leonardo DiCaprio, his performance is serious. There's Jonah Hill. He plays a key component in this movie because he's one of the guys that's also in the brokerage. And what I wanted to say is that you mentioned casting, how casting is important. Yes. It's very important. Obviously, it's a white cast, so for the most part, like I didn't expect any diversity in that sense. So I couldn't really, in my mind, put any face to the characters. But with Jonah Hill, Margot Robbie, who was his wife, they played their roles well. I mean, obviously, Margot Robbie was his wife, who they had a troubled relationship. Simply because of his business and things like that, and obviously having to live that lavish lifestyle and having to keep that going. But yeah, their relationship was pretty well represented in the movie. Also, Jordan Belfort was actually in the movie as well. He shows up at the very end, in the last season, in the last scene. So he's there. I feel like this adaptation was well done. The scene in particular, where when I was reading the book, he's talking about how he had to leave. I forgot where it was. He had to leave somewhere and get in a car and go home, I believe it was. But he was drugged up. But he said, so he's like, I had to get out of the car, I had to make a safe drive home. I got there, this, that, and the third. But then when he wakes up like the next day, he realizes that he was drugged out his mind. Like he had got into the car, he had fucked up all the cars on the road because he was crashing everywhere.
Oh my god!
And they did that so perfectly in the movie. In the movie, they showed him coming out of the car, driving home, cool, and then you see they rewind it to show exactly how it was done. It's things like that I feel like they've pulled straight from the pages of the book and put right onto the screen. I feel like that book to a movie adaptation was dope. My second pick is Ready Player One.
Okay, I haven't seen it.
Man, now I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
You said?
No, I said you need to go and check it out.
I'll go to the film or the book.
I haven't seen neither.
I won't lie to you. In this situation, I think I prefer the book.
What's it about?
Yeah, in this situation. So Ready Player One is based on this guy called Wade Watts. He lives in like a dystopian future like 2044, and the whole world basically lives in a VR reality. Everyone, like VR headsets are the norm. It's like they're like mobile phones.
Yeah.
You work in the VR reality. You go to school in the VR reality. It's called the Oasis.
Yeah.
And within that reality, that's where everyone is. But the creator, he left 3 Easter eggs in this Oasis. And if you find, and he, by the way, he's dead. He passed away.
Right.
If you find these 3 Easter eggs, you own Oasis and you become a billionaire.
Right.
So you can imagine, this is what everyone's trying to do at the same time as living their life, right? So basically, he's basically living in a VR world, and he comes across an Easter egg.
Yeah.
So and there's a leaderboard, by the way, that nobody's on.
Yeah.
So when he gets the first Easter egg, his name pops up.
Yeah.
World goes nuts.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, someone's finally found an Easter egg, and the whole aim of the movie is there's this basically a corporation. Do you remember their name? There's this evil corporation, basically, evil corporation who have got a bunch of workers living in this facility that are just out there to get these Easter eggs.
Yeah.
And so it's like, this is where reality and VR come into one, because in the real life, they're trying to find this kid, and they're trying to coerce him to work with them, but when he doesn't want to, then now they want to kill him before he finds the rest of the Easter eggs.
Okay.
It's dope, because in this VR reality, you can create avatars, right?
Yeah.
And these avatars are all like from characters from popular culture games that we know.
Right.
So like the Street Fighters,
Right.
all the movie properties.
All the movie
like
properties,
like what else was in there?
Iron Giant's in there.
Iron Giant, Gundam Ring,
Oh yeah.
Chucky was in there.
Chucky was in there, yeah.
Turtles were in there, like Halo characters, like it's
Yeah,
basically anything that you can think of, like to create avatars in this movie.
yeah.
And this is why this movie gassed me. I watched it with the man them. I was too hyped, bro. Because it's like, when did it come out?
That was
Came out last year.
Oh, last year.
Yeah, last year.
Seems like forever ago.
Bro, and that's why I was like,
Really?
yo, you see that guy?
2017,
You see this character? Huh?
2017 or 2018?
2017?
I feel like it was 2017.
2017, yeah?
Maybe late 2017.
Okay, late 2017. Now, when I read this book, this was one of the best books I've ever read in my life in terms of engagement. I was so gassed to get on a train to read this book, because that was my reading time. So I was fully in this world. So when I heard that Steven Spielberg was going to make this movie, Steven Spielberg, he's a good director.
Yeah, of course
so I was
he is.
looking forward to it, but I was worried because oftentimes these things that you create, these images that you create in your mind, they hardly come to life on screen.
Yeah.
And I believe this is one of the instances where I didn't get what I expected, but I was happy.
Yeah.
Because this is about a VR world, right?
Yeah.
And the in my mind, I created a landscape. I created all these characters that I saw in my mind. And when Steven Spielberg read the book, he saw something completely different. Maybe similar, but completely different. And obviously they're going to take liberties with what they can do. But it's a Warner Brothers production, so they're using all their own proprietary characters in this movie as well. But for the most part, it was sick though. I can't lie to you, it was dope. I feel like this one is... It's going to be... If you read the book and then watch the movie, you're definitely going to... Everyone's going to have different interpretations. But yeah, it's sick, man.
I'm not gonna lie, in regards to that, I feel like I've got to go back and do both. I've definitely got to read the book. I never read the book before. But I definitely want, like, with you talking about it, I want to watch the film again, man. There were some high points in it.
I was gassed.
It was very dope.
Yeah. Those are my 2 picks, man.
Yeah, so me, yeah. My 2 picks. So the first one is a bit of a cheat code because it's an autobiography.
Okay.
The autobiography of Malcolm X. So
I ain't read that.
Oh, sick.
do you know what I'm saying?
Sick.
You ain't read it?
I ain't ready. It's
Bro,
I've got it, man. It's
that
at home,
is
man.
that's the stuff. Yo,
Come on,
Yo.
come on.
Detroit Red.
Oh my
Come on,
goodness.
man. That's-
Listen, man.
that's dope.
Firstly, the book is just mind blowing. Like, it's so compelling right from the start. I mean, obviously the book, as written by Alex Haley, so it's an autobiography through Alex Haley. I think it was published in 1973 or 75, that kind of era. And the journey, the depth that you go into in terms of like getting to know the character, getting to know Malcolm just as an individual. Firstly, as like basically a crackhead. Do you know what I'm saying? Like as a drug abusive sex worker, like pimp, like just on an absolute madness and his stages of transformation like throughout, and just how like deep and compelling it is. And so I loved the book. I read the book when I was a teenager at some point, and then when I watched the movie, wow, man, I was just blown away. Denzel Washington, who obviously played Malcolm, like that's the closest, I guess, like book or a real life kind of actor to real life person kind of characterization I've ever seen, I think, in my opinion. Wow. He played that character, and I remember watching it. I watched it by myself, interesting. I didn't watch it when it came out in the cinema, but I remember getting on DVD, I watched it by myself. And there's the final scene where, well, closing up to the final scene, I won't spoil it, but I think everyone knows what happens. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't know what happens, yo, what world are you living in? But the scene where he, like, how Malcolm basically reconciles knowing that he's gonna die, right? And he still goes to give his final speech, and that long kind of walk to the auditorium where he's gonna give his speech. Like, I remember watching it and completely forgetting that I was watching a movie. Like, I felt like I was in that moment. Do you know what I'm saying? And I completely forgot that I was watching Denzel Washington play Malcolm. I literally thought I was watching Malcolm. And so for me, like, that's honestly the best, like, book / real life to movie adaptation, like, ever. So that's, like, my first one. And my second one is just, like, it's a personal favorite, because I love the book and I really just love the movie. Curious to see what you guys are going to say. iRobot.
iRobot?
Yeah.
There's a book?
Yeah, so it's written by...
Will Smith?
Yeah, Will Smith, yeah.
Okay.
So it's written by a sci-fi writer, Isaac Asimov, who's written a number of books. I think that one was published 1950s. But, like, his books go into detail. So everything that we're seeing now is just like, man wrote it way back then. Yeah. And for me, I feel like that was one of the best roles that I've seen Will Smith in terms of movies, because sometimes his roles can be a little bit like a little bit touch and go. You know, I love Will, like I really love Will, but I feel like it's difficult to fully imagine him outside of the Will Smith Fresh Prince of Bel-Air character, you know, because he did that so well, and that's what he's known for.
On his supporting cast.
Oh, that's a good point, you know. No, you didn't.
You just clipped
No,
it,
you didn't. Why?
You just clipped it.
Oh, I just clocked it. Did you see my reaction?
We're gonna break that down.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe you just did that. That was great though. That was great. It does highly depend on his supporting cast. He's a great actor. He's obviously very talented. One of the GOATs. But like there was just certain parts where I kind of felt like I was just watching him. You know, I feel like like Will Smith in 7 Pounds, I wasn't really convinced by that. You know, entirely. If you watch 7 Pounds, that was. But like in iRobot, I felt convinced by like that representation, and I loved the film.
Just his mannerisms, isn't it?
Yeah,
definitely I'm with you on that.
Yeah, his mannerisms, and there was so many films where he has to run like either topless or in a vest, like really fast at some point.
Yeah,
and sometimes it just wasn't necessary.
Yeah,
like, do you know what I mean? But he's got to sell. That's the appeal, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I love that. I love that film, and the book was like just as exciting, if not more. So yeah, those are my two.
Legit.
Nice. Alright, so my two picks, I'm going to be completely 100% honest. I ain't read these books, but I enjoyed the movies, innit? So I thought, let me pick these, talk about them.
Yeah.
So the first pick is Fight Club.
Oh, okay.
What's the first rule of Fight Club, bro?
Don't talk about Fight Club.
Don't talk about Fight Club. But I'm going to talk about Fight Club. So it was written in 1996 it was a novel by Chuck Palahniuk. I think I said that right. I'm not too sure. But it's basically about a guy who suffers from insomnia. He finds relief by going to different support groups and acting as a sick person. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, just to make like connections with different people. One day he bumps into the character known as Tyler Durden. the soap salesman, who in the movie is played by Brad Pitt.
Man, like.
Yeah, the unnamed protagonist is played by Edward Norton. I was going to get into that a little bit later, but I might as well just let you guys know now. Yeah, so just through research, the book and the movie is pretty much similar for the most part, but just a little bit of differences. Like, we've all seen the movie, yeah?
I can't lie to you, man. I've seen it, guys. Slow down before anyone jumps on me. No one's. But I just can't remember it too tough. I watched it when I was younger.
Yeah.
I feel like,
no, that's
and I feel like if I watched it now, I'd appreciate it more.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, actually, not
So like in the movie, Tyler Durden doesn't really kill anyone, but in the book, he's like a raging terrorist. Do you get what I'm saying? They had this thing called, what was it called? Operation Mayhem? Do you remember in the movie when like basically Brad Pitt was like just going around blowing shit up?
Is that the end?
Towards the end. Operation Mayhem. Like basically it's a terrorist, isn't it?
Yeah.
Also in this movie, Helena Bonham Carter. Did I say that right? Yeah, she's in the movie as well. And Jared Leto's in this movie too. But I don't remember him being in the movie.
Nah.
His nickname was like Angel Face or something. No?
It's like, it's no good one of them ones where you have to watch it again.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, like this movie didn't do too good in the theaters or anything like that. But when it was made to DVD,
didn't it?
No.
See, these movies like this, right? Back in the day, what you're gonna say is when it comes to DVD, that's when it picks up steam. It becomes a cult classic.
That's exactly what it
yeah.
It became a cult classic. It was directed by David Finch.
Fincher.
So yeah, man, that's pretty much my first pick.
Yeah.
My second pick, also, there was a sequel in 2015.
There was a sequel?
Fight Club 2.
Straight to DVD.
Straight to comic book.
What's
What?
that?
Yeah,
That's crazy.
straight to comic
I
book.
did not know that.
What's it called? Fight Club, yeah.
Fight Club 2.
What? Who was the publishers behind it?
No idea. So if you lot want to know,
I've never even heard of that before.
yeah, for sure.
And who was that written by? But the writer of the film, the movie,
film?
or the book, or do you know?
I do not know.
Okay, that's interesting.
Was it like a series of comic books or just like literally one?
I feel like it might have just been one. Fight Club 2.
So like a graphic novel rather than a series.
Probably.
But from what I remember of Fight Club, there's nothing to go on. Like,
It's an interesting story, yeah.
I mean, I thought that would be the end. I mean, how does it end? Okay, no, I didn't know
Shoot
that.
himself in the movie.
He beats himself.
Up,
Yeah.
Jeez.
But I've heard theories about how.
Yeah, I've heard them too, but let's go on.
Okay, go on.
Go to yours.
They're supposed to be symbolically like the same person. Yeah.
They are, man.
I thought that was quite clear in the film.
Well, not at the
Yeah,
end.
at the end.
Oh, at the end.
At the
Yeah,
end,
okay,
it breaks
sorry.
it
It's like
down.
6 steps. You find
No,
that.
no. There's this
Oh,
Fight Club as well.
sorry.
Fight Club as well. Like at the end.
That's what I'm saying. Like 6 steps, you find that at the end.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Like six. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, my second pick was Life of Pi.
Oh, okay.
Anyone seen the movie?
Is that the one when he's on a boat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I ain't watched that, bruv.
I've kind of read the
With a
book.
tiger on a boat.
With the
Yeah.
tiger. I've heard theories about that too. I don't know if anyone else has heard.
But is the
It's in
tiger
his
represented?
imagination.
I'll wait till the end
Oops.
of my.
Oh,
What?
I think I said it. No, let me
No one heard you. No one heard you.
No, I didn't.
No, I heard you, but
I didn't hear what you said.
But yeah, it's a Canadian fantasy adventure written by Jan Martel. It was published in 2001. It's about an Indian boy, lives in India. His family owns a zoo. He's dealing with his own struggles in terms of religion, but like he basically converts to every single religion. Yeah, so he
At once or
like
different
just I don't know. I think it's like at once. He's it's like you're trying to find answers. You're not sure.
So he's going from one to the other.
Yeah, he's going from one to the other. So I think the family, they're going to up and reroute to Canada. On the way to Canada, they get shipwrecked. So basically, imagine like you're moving your whole zoo
Oh, that's right.
with you. Do you get what I'm saying?
Oh wow.
So they get shipwrecked. I think his whole family gets taken out. What you say?
Titanic.
Oh, okay. Yeah, basically. So yeah, so somehow he ends up on a boat with a fucking tiger, yeah, an orangutan, a zebra, and a hyena.
Man like Noah, what's going on?
Basically. So yeah, they like shipwrecked for I think 227 days. Yeah, 227 days. The book sold over 10 million copies.
Jeez.
Over 10 million copies.
Right, innit?
What am I doing that?
But do you know what you were saying about like going through struggles and the question JP asked about like what advice would you give for people who write and like this book got rejected 5 times from like London House Publishing until it was picked up by like a Canadian publishing house or whatever, and then like it's been nominated for Golden Globes, Best Actor, Best Picture, all of that stuff. Do you know what I'm saying? Can you guess how much money the movie brought in?
Nah, I know that it had a dumb budget, right?
I don't know what the budget was, but it made worldwide over $600 million.
600.
That's not
600
even.
million.
The thing, that's good, but it's not, you know.
Yeah, you're going off
No, there, but no, like, when did the movie come out?
2012.
What do you mean it's not good?
Nah, man.
2012.
Nah, no, indeed.
Oh, what in comparison to budget, or are you saying?
No, I'm saying in like
In movie terms.
Yeah, so basically, obviously, in times like as days go on, our standards they change.
Yeah.
Back in the day, 600 million plus is dope.
Yeah.
This day and age,
I
that's
think
what I'm trying to say. And I'm not leave, and I know everyone's going to say Marvel, whatever. Leave the Marvel, DC, the comic books out of it. That's what I say. Also, it does depend on the budget. Like I don't know what the budget was, but I heard the budget was dumb stupid. But I haven't seen the movie, so I can't speak on the graphics and how much
Well, it was
CGI.
CGI. It was a lot of
heavily
CGI. Yeah.
So yeah, the budget's going to be stupid. So for example, if the budget's like, even if the budget's 200, you still made your money back and some, which is a profit, which is legit. But like 600 million, speak now is okay. It's successful. Don't get me wrong.
But 2012?
2012, banging.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
Wow.
2012, banging. But yeah, that's legit. But you don't know what the budget is. But it'll be interesting to know what the budget was. It'll be interesting to know that because that's a lot of money still.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a good choice.
But yeah, man, those are my picks, man.
That's good.
JP free.
Nice and quick.
That was good, bro.
Yeah, well, before you go, let me guess. Charlie Chaplin.
Like that, yeah. Wow.
And the adaptation is it's not a book. It's a tablet.
It's a tablet. Alright, so my first one, and this is something that the film wasn't very good.
Nice.
Wasn't very good.
Nah.
That's what we need.
This is exactly what we need.
So the name of this is what's it called? Northern. What's it called again? Northern. Oh my god.
JP, look at your notes.
Oh yeah, sorry. The Golden Compass. I'm tripping, bro.
Bro, that book was fire.
Yeah,
The movie wasn't good.
Oh, that's what I was trying to remember before.
Yeah.
Northern Lights.
Northern. Thank you.
That series. was fire,
But
man.
the thing is, it has different titles in different. So in North America, it was called
That's right.
Oh, really?
Northern Lights, and in the rest of the world,
Golden
Compass. So it's kind of weird. So I think the book came out in 1982, so it's quite
98.
old, by Philip Pullman.
Yeah, Philip. Bro, I remember
Yeah,
this.
yeah,
Really?
Bro, I like this book series more than Lord of the Rings and Lion Witch in the Wardrobe.
Damn.
If you haven't read it, go read the first book. The other books.
Okay.
Yeah. So obviously, the book follows a young girl. Oh, it's about it's set in a parallel universe where human souls are literally like a lifelong companion. Alright? Yeah. And basically, for instance, David, your lifelong companion could be a dog. You know what I'm saying?
Sounds accurate.
Right. And basically, she lives and dark forces are going around, called clubbers or something like that, are going around kidnapping children and doing these different kind of experiments type things. So one of her best friends is kidnapped, and then she has to she goes and she tries to chase it down, whatever. So obviously, reading that when I was very younger.
Very young.
Sorry. That whole universe was like dope. So obviously, when they made the film, I think the film came out, I can't remember, 2004?
2000.
I don't know.
I think a little bit later, 2004.
Yeah. So obviously, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Read the film. I read the book.
Yeah.
Going to watch it, and I'm not gonna lie. You know, when you watch something and you're like, yo, this is absolute trash.
Oh, damn.
and the ending is completely different to the.
I hate when they do stuff like
so
this.
they've made for the film, they've made the ending happier.
Can I ask you a question? This will be sorry to interrupt, but the whole time you're telling me the story, who produced this movie? That'd be interesting to know because it sounds kind of Disney-ish. Like with the animals, like and this girl going to save a friend. It sounds like something
Disney would pick up. I don't think it was. I'm pretty sure it wasn't.
Nah.
And plus because I'm thinking because it is surrounding such a young protagonist, I would assume that they don't want her to have such a bad ending to a movie. Because people go to movies for
What was it rated?
their happiness and stuff like that. So
Yeah, probably. But that's probably
you
why.
don't
But it's
really
like,
see
the book was a lot. Yeah. But they were she was too late to save her friend, basically. And then obviously the book kind of ends, and the ending was just kind of sudden the film, and it was like, okay.
Yeah.
And it's part of a trilogy, so.
Yeah.
Have you seen the film?
I've seen the film. The film was trash.
Yeah.
The books.
plus, and that's another thing that you have to take into consideration. Did they try and fit the 3 books into one movie, or was it just what the movie was based on the first book?
I think they dipped some of the source material between all 3.
Oh, okay.
I think that was the real problem, innit?
There you go, maybe.
But yeah, I mean, it just why.
Yeah.
My second one was a bit of a cheat. My second film, a film book adaptation is Shawshank.
Okay.
Redemption.
Yeah.
Now, I originally saw the film first.
Them ones.
Okay, but I later received the book as a gift from somebody. And these times now I was studying, going back and forth, traveling, so obviously I read the book. And to be honest, that film and the book, I couldn't find too much disparities between the two, because...
You couldn't?
No. But the only difference is Red, who's played by Morgan Freeman in the film, is actually in the book an Irishman. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, really?
So like basically, from what I can remember, scene by scene, and even the bit at the end where Andy escapes, is actually like it actually happens like that in the book. Do you know what I mean? And did you know that film didn't do well?
Again,
Shawshank,
isn't it?
Shawshank didn't do well box office like that. But what happened afterwards, it became like a cult classic, and then it became, like pretty well thought of. It's like pretty high on people's list.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Definitely.
Like, and the things I like, what just reading the book and the film, the things I loved about it was obviously Andy's transition. So he's come from a bad situation. He's being accused of murder, and he goes to prison for it, for murdering his wife and her lover. And then he goes through that whole. he goes through the whole the prison stuff. He meets Red, and they form like a friendship. And even their friendship, how they first meet, and do you know what I mean? Everything throughout was very much in line. So that to me was like one of the better adaptations, I would put out there.
It's interesting that you must have enjoyed the movie a lot enough to go and then read the book as well.
Yeah, because obviously you watch a film, and like we've all watched films, and then you find out there's a book about it, and I'm like, because I like the film, I want to see if there's anything I had missed out or anything they had missed. That put in, and I was surprised that they did a very, very good job. You know what I mean? Right to the end, pretty much. So that was mine.
That's legit, bruv. That's legit. So to tie this all up, guys, what do we feel about adaptations going from the book to the movie? Do we like them for the most part? Are they successful? Are there certain things that need to be done in order for them to work, or like what in general?
I think it's just hit and miss, man.
Yeah.
Because it could either be good or it won't.
It's not good, yeah.
But is there any reasons for why it's not good, or why it's either or?
So, all right, for instance, do you think the time frame is important as well for when the book was obviously released and the film being produced, or it doesn't
I don't
really
think
matter?
so. I don't think so, especially because we've now got the technology to create anything. Do you understand? I think it's more of a case of staying true to the source material. Also, the reason why books are often adapted is like if you think about it from a business point of view, these production companies, they want to make money, and that's one of the key components to doing so, is that you have a piece of work that has that people know about already.
Something to go by.
Something to go by that. So it has awareness to it. So when you make a movie of this from the best-selling book, this, that, and the third. So this is one of the things that production companies think about.
That's almost like advertising in itself.
Yeah, definitely.
For the movie.
Thank you. Oh, that book that I read that I love so much, they're making it into a movie. But then this is where I feel like you can get lost. Is that if they, like I said, the production company doesn't stick to the source material, what you're going to do is alienate a lot of the readers. Do you understand? And then you're not going to get good reviews off the back of that. So I think if you stick, like I say, stick to the source material, you stay true to form, and you don't do it to necessarily make a franchise, because I think that's what a lot of things do. That's why I was kind of wondering about your story. You said that at the end, the girl, she saved a friend, right? But in the book, she died. And I was thinking, oh, does that mean they genuinely maybe want to continue her story? Because that's why sometimes a lot of films don't do well, because just focus on the movie that we're watching. Don't think about the future, because then you're not concentrating on finishing this story that I'm watching at the moment. Yeah, so, and I feel like, again, last point is that when we all read a book, we're all going to see different things in our mind. So it's hard for that filmmaker, that single filmmaker, to adhere to all of our thoughts. But if they just do their best to just make a piece of work that is true to form, I think. That's mine.
Stay in line with the book. I think, and obviously, in terms of, I mean, it's the job of a book to create a world for you, whereas what you see on screen is what you take. So I think when you're going from book to film, I think you have to be able to create a world that is parallel to what the book has given you, even if it only meets the visual requirements. So, for example, I mean, The Lord of the Rings. You watch the films filmed in New Zealand, and it's mostly about wide open landscapes, picturesque mountains, villages. You've got several castles that you see, and they're quite authentic. They look like they could be real castles at some point in time, and that comes from the book, the description from the book. Once you go to a film, if you're trying to adapt things, and maybe the setting is different, or the journey, the approach, where they're headed to is different, you're losing the soul of it, I think, myself.
And also think it's about like the process, and oftentimes when movies are made, adapted from books, the writer isn't really included, and so their, I guess, creativity and their inspiration, and perhaps like their own input. It's the director's vision more than anything. And those are two different forms, and I think you come from a different space when you're creating it versus when you're adapting it. And what you're watching on the screen is a completely different form to what you're reading in the book. And I think technically movies should be more enhancing, because you have added elements, like the fact that you have audio elements. Do you know what I'm saying?
That's true,
Like, should actually make it more impactful, because really and truly, reading a book is like watching a film on mute. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, there's absolutely no
watching a film
like,
on mute.
there's no audio elements whatsoever. Even with audio books, there's not like, oh, he closed the door and then the sound of the door closed. Like, and all of this. That's just a bit weird. Like, some of them have this. I don't really appreciate it now. I just want the words. Like, you know what I'm saying? And so it's kind of like, I think if more adaptations included like the input of the writer. Now, obviously, writers, novelists, they're not necessarily screenwriters, so it's a different kind of dynamic. But I think it's still important to say, okay, so when you included this scene, what were you thinking? Like, ask the originator that question, and ask them if they've been, like, if it's been understood correctly. Because so many times with books, there'll be a certain scene, and then people think it means this, but actually that's not what the writer was trying to say at all. So
it makes sense, because if you check the credits for a lot of these movies, you sometimes see that the writer of the book is also the person that helped, like, co-screen wrote the script, and then sometimes you can see they're not there at all. So it's like they would just license their book rather than being involved with the whole creation process.
Exactly.
So you'd be able to tell.
Yeah, and oftentimes a lot of the production houses, they don't want to include the writer because that's an extra salary that they've got to make. You know what I'm saying? Like, you already have to pay them the royalties for the adaptation. So why would you also want to add an extra cost? But I don't know. I think it would make a massive difference.
Therefore, and to wrap up with that, it's like, so in terms of like storytelling, right? So I have these thoughts in my mind. I want to get them out, paper, audio, movies. Like, what's important when I want to get my story across? Like, what are the key components that I need to include? What do I need to consider?
Yeah.
For the listener, the viewer, the reader, what are those things that I need to make sure that I have when considering telling a story?
So there's different elements, and I think for different like artists and writers and whatever, they start at different points. But I would say what are like core elements that work for me. Like the first thing that I think about is world building. Like the story that I'm creating, no matter, regardless of like whatever the plot of the story is the world believable? You know, so if you're creating a story where a superstar NBA athlete brings his mediocre team back from 3-1 down in the playoffs, like
it's not believable. I get it. It's
a
world that buy into.
Right. As a movie, it's not really believable because it's never been done before, right?
Okay.
So you have to really make it convincing. You know, and so you look at the different elements, like with world building, you look at the different elements that you could incorporate into making it real, and that's all in the detail. Sometimes, like I think so many stories, like telling stories, is so often like plot driven or character driven that the world kind of like goes missing. And I mean this in the sense of like, you know, if you're writing stories about London, like you have to be able to build the world about London. So there's lots of like, I think there was a movie that came out recently about a terrorist attack in London, but it was like a lot of American stuff, and it was just recorded in like the baitest like tourist places. No one really believes that because that's not our world as Londoners.
Yeah, it's true,
Do you know what I'm
it's
saying?
true, yeah.
Like when was the last time you really went to Trafalgar Square?
Imagine that in Central every day, you know?
Yeah, like Tower Bridge, like you know, I can't remember, on a school trip or whatever. That's not the world that like I step into when I'm in the city. And so I think that's like a really important thing. And I think like if you balance world building but also like insight into a character. And the thing is it's weird, right? With art, it's basically like we create reflections of our reality. Like really to just understand ourselves more. Even if it's superheroes, even it's like superhero movies or science fiction, like it's just a reflection of what's going on here. So it's almost like we escape the world to just go back into the world, but in a different form. You know, so it's almost like we're lulling ourselves into an illusion, but it's just bringing us back to a reality. And I feel like it's like, okay, what insights are you giving that people wouldn't ordinarily get in their everyday world? And I think like when you combine, like that's what at least I try and do is like, okay, think about the world that it's in, think about the insights, like what kind of insights are you getting from the character, from the situation in this, and is it something that's worth saying at the end of the day? You know, like do we need the story? Do you need the story? You know, how would you feel if this story was told from someone else? Would you be as interested in it? And I feel like if you have that drive, if you have that like kind of like will for this story to be told, then it will come out in the best way. Like, so yeah, but it's long, man.
Yeah, I can imagine, man.
It is, and there's no like, I mean, there's obviously, so if you look at like film school narrative, they have like the 3-part structure, kind of like the exposition, kind of rising action and so forth, and then the conclusion, where that's like typically the way that a story is supposed to be told. But I don't think that's necessarily the best way to tell all of the stories. Some good stories start at the end and then work their way back. Some start at the beginning and work their beginning, end, middle, whatever it is. And I just think that you really have to own in like on the detail. Once you get the detail, like you'll be fine, man. Like, and that's the thing. And I think the thing that we believe in the most is the thing that we find most believable, no matter how made up it is. Yeah. You know,
I like that. The thing that believe in most things. Yeah, I like that. That's pretty dope.
Sounds like a fire Instagram caption, boy.
That's my next picture, bro.
Real quick, does anyone know the arc of a superhero? I asked this because
interesting.
I've heard it a few times, but I keep
Yeah.
forgetting. But there's a specific arc of a superhero that we see in most films that they follow.
Okay, so we could guess it. Like,
Yeah,
I know it, but I know the specific terminology, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know the terminology.
But like, how would you describe it?
So it's like
I asked because you write a little bit as well. Get me?
okay.
nowhere near what you're working with, bro.
No, man.
Yeah, I don't know the terminology, but obviously every superhero is about. I guess it starts off with discovery, how they became to be, or how they came to be, or whatever the influence is. Then they go on like that surge where it's like they're kind of undefeatable. It's like again, this is the terminology. Then they get defeated, and I'm literally thinking about Spider-Man when I'm thinking about.
You know, it's funny. I was thinking about that too. You know, honestly, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man.
Tobey Maguire, of course.
Yeah, no, that was Spider-Man.
Yeah, they get defeated.
Yeah.
And it's like the journey of like self-realization almost.
There you go.
To why they become a superhero, and that's how they beat the villain in the end. Basically,
I won't lie to you. If you just think about those stages, you can kind of apply it to most superhero movies.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah. It's never just smooth sailing. It's always, I've got powers. Ooh, I'm doing well. I can do anything. I get defeated. I'm at the bottom, and I have to really think about like why I'm here, what I need to do, my purpose in life. I figured this out by myself, this, that, and the third, and then they meet the villain again and defeat it, and then hopefully you understand them.
Yeah. Unless you're like Hancock or something.
Hancock
Does
was
Hancock
different.
still have that?
That's what I'm saying. Hancock, his one was like
Self-inflicted, isn't it?
Yeah, that's even a mad story, you know. Hancock, I remember Hancock.
Did you watch that together?
Bro, we watched a couple movies together, you know. Remember Watchmen? Did we watch Watchmen together?
Watchmen together, yeah.
And oh my god,
But you guys don't know. Speaking of adaptations,
I'm not stuck in here with you. You're stuck here with me.
That shit was cool.
That was nuts.
That was mad. That was mad.
nuts,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
All
it's
my
true.
days, I loved Watchmen, man, and Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah, man. That's right.
Man was being his thing with. Man went super dry, but fam,
He's having sex. Basically, his missus. I can't remember who his
seen
missus
the
was.
movie.
yeah, I don't know what you're
Yeah,
talking about. With the clothes. I've seen it, of course I've seen it.
His missus complains that like she's
Oh,
not
and
satisfied.
he's
yeah?
doing something else.
He's working.
And he's got the man. They got the
And then,
men
but there's just bare man.
doing bits here.
but it's all close.
They're running a training this girl while he's at work. Yeah.
For real, like.
No, but it's all him though.
Yeah.
So is it? So I mean, like,
Yeah.
But what I want to know, right, is does he still feel the enjoyment, or is that?
I think that was his whole, like, one of his personal arcs, is like he disconnected with the human. Yeah, like he obviously the reason why his girl's complaining is because he doesn't connect with her in that way. I don't know if he does. Like he might just.
He does, man. I think he's. The only
But then if he doesn't, then that's cheating, then, isn't it?
It's a complicated situation, man. But yeah, man. Speaking of cinema, so like, tell the listeners, the viewers, like, what are your top 3 movies of recent time for JJ?
Oh, okay. So, man, I mean, this is gonna sound like quite bait, but I really love what Jordan Peele's doing.
Yeah,
Like, I love what he's doing, man.
nothing wrong with that.
I loved Us. Us was just brilliant for me, and I didn't mind that it wasn't as tied together as Get Out. Like, I wasn't expecting it to be a Get Out 2. I just loved the absurdity of it all, and I think like he's really found his niche in terms of like storytelling and subject matter and just like blending different worlds. I think like it's weird because of late, the past like kind of like 6 months to a year, because I've been writing so much, I really find it hard to write and watch stuff and watch movies, and because my fear is always like, you know, when you take in lots of different narratives, it influences your own, you know, and so you might get excited about an idea, because I'm also working on my next novel, that you might get excited about an idea that's not meant to be in your mind, like, you know, so I'm always like, oh, okay, I need to watch this film, but I don't know if I should yet. I've got to wait until this, I've got to wait until that. But one thing I'm really looking forward to, although the date hasn't been set yet, is there's an adaptation of Marlon James's new book, Black Leopard, Red Wolf, which is like a fantasy book. Almost, it's described as like an African Game of Thrones, but I think he just said that for promo.
I ain't gonna lie to you, that gassed me immediately.
I started reading it. The book is hunch, like it's like 500 pages deep, and apparently Michael B. Jordan's picked it up to be adapted into film.
Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah.
He's gonna be the actor.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's gonna. I think he's either hit or is it Coogler? But basically, Rio Coogler and Jordan.
What's the book called?
Black Leopard, Red Wolf. And I've started reading it already. I'm about 200 pages in, and let's just say it's one of the maddest things that I've ever. Fam, one of the main characters, is half human, half leopard, and he can just like transform at will. But he has like sexual desires
Yeah, he
as a human and as a leopard
Okay.
to be with humans or leopards.
yeah.
So it's
the
like
best of both, man.
a bit of a spoiler. There's a scene where they're in the jungle and he's there in the jungle as a leopard having coitus with a human. But a human man.
Mad.
Fam, the way he describes it,
He
yeah.
just went left on, man.
Listen, but the thing is,
no more.
Nah.
Now it's too much like
no,
that.
listen, I should I have to say this because it's not a spoiler because the way, like, just me saying it doesn't do it justice. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, when you read it and it unfolds and you're like, you know that like white guy blinking meme, like, you're like, what? But it's so genius, man, and it's so much. Like there's so much depth, and the other character is a young guy who's a hunter and basically has like a sniffer, like an expert sniffer dog kind of thing. That's his superpower, and he hunts people who have gone missing. And so he goes to people, they give him a trace of the smell, and he just goes after them. Like, and no matter how far or how long ago it was, like he can basically like zone in on the scent. And then just go through their stories. Absolute madness. I can't wait until that comes out in film.
Mad.
It's mad. I'd highly recommend like either reading it or watching it when it comes out.
Hopefully it's cast right.
Yeah,
better be,
I ain't
bro.
gonna lie, boy.
It better be, bro.
It could be it could be touching me. I kind of feel what do you think about this? I feel like Michael B. Jordan is kind of like a modern day Will Smith.
And I need you to elaborate on that statement. What do you mean?
Because he's obviously a good actor, like a great actor.
That's debatable amongst some as well.
But right, this is the but like sometimes if he's cast wrong, then it makes him look very average. Like I'm not gonna lie, I think he was cast wrong as Killmonger.
I ain't gonna lie, you ain't gonna get any agreements here.
That's a spicy
sorry.
take, boy.
Yeah,
you got to
man.
elaborate on that. What do you mean?
I'm not gonna lie. Shall I tell you why? Yeah, because I feel like Killmonger's emotional arc, like both the peak and the depth, wasn't low enough and wasn't high enough. Do you know what I'm saying? So if you look at like the lowest points where like he's reconnecting with his dad in that emotional moment where he goes back and has that conversation, like that should rip him apart. I didn't feel that, you know, and the parts where he's it just felt almost like too much of a constant. That he wasn't able to get out of that
there was no
Oakland kind of like road guy kind of thing. This is a man who's been trained like by what was it? What was his training like? Top CIA training, like and he's just still too road in every situation. Every situation, hi auntie, okay, burn everything, burn it. Oh, I'm like, bro, like, you know, like just a bit of strategy. I felt like there was no strategy from him. You know, you're CIA trained, and the first thing you can think of is burn everything, like, and just come in and just do a whole madness, like, you know, like, but don't get me wrong, like, I love watching him act in that role, but I just feel like, man, it wasn't this didn't have that fillet, like, you know, so it didn't have that finger or didn't have that.
That's fair.
So that was my.
Say spicy take. That's
Man, Bab sounds disappointed, man. That's deep breath.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's the first time I heard that, but
very spicy take.
Last question, man. So for the rest of the year, 2019, I'm assuming, even though you're working on your next book, you have some cinema time.
Yeah.
What are you looking forward to watching for the rest of the year?
I want
One movie.
It's out now, but I want to see John Wick.
Fam, not gonna lie to
Listen.
you. Watched it the other night.
Yeah?
It's some madness.
Okay.
Snakes, man, differently.
I told you in a group chat, man. Whoa.
I ain't gonna lie, you're right.
So you seen the first and the
Facts.
second one, yeah?
Snake.
Voice.
KD.
It's a bit.
Watch the first and second one.
Do I have to watch the first and second one first?
Yeah. Oh, I ain't seen the first, but definitely watch the first and second.
Just watch it.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
Yeah,
It's
okay,
worth it, bro.
okay. But yeah, I love that Keanu's back, man. He's one of my favorite actors.
Fam.
Like, fully
John-
bodied the Matrix. Body.
I'm not gonna lie to you, but obviously Neo, I said this on Twitter, Neo and John Wick are his favorite, like his top two characters.
Yeah.
John Wick is at number 2, but
Okay.
Like that, yeah.
Oh.
That's what you said. When I think about it.
Fam, I'm gonna lie to you, man.
What, Bill and Ted?
That's dope. That's dope. Alright, man. It's been a long episode, but let's wrap it up, man.
Yeah.
Anybody else do anything else to say?
Ah, man, I think, you know.
Been fun,
down,
man.
man.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. This is fun. This is fun, fellas, man.
Great
Really,
insight.
really enjoyed it, man.
Dope,
Really
man.
enjoyed it.
Well,
You know, and
come back
keep,
after the playoffs,
keep
man.
doing, keep doing what you lot do. You know.
Yeah,
It's
man.
been dope, man. It's been dope.
But yeah, that's been episode 48
48.
of the Post Credits
We're close to
podcast.
50, man.
Close to 50,
You know
man.
what's happening at 50, right?
I just hope certain man are sticking to what they said they were gonna do.
It's water, innit?
See, that's what I'm talking about. So episode 50 was supposed to be drinking again. We had a drinking episode at episode 25, I think it was.
Water, innit?
No,
Nah.
like 30 something.
30 something.
30 something.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a fun episode.
You need to do that again.
Yeah, well, certain man over there want to be drinking water.
Huh? Why?
He said drink, he didn't specify.
See what I'm talking about? See what I'm working with, JJ?
Oh my days.
How
man.
close is 50 going to be to the end of June?
The weekend before. 2 weekends before.
Oh, okay. fair.
No, you on the same weekend?
That'd be mad.
That'd be too much. That'd be too much. We couldn't do that. We couldn't do it, bro. That's
I'd have fun trying.
Yeah. But yeah, follow us on our socials. That's TPCP UK, Twitter, Instagram, the Post Credits Podcast on YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes. You can follow me, AJUKOBE, Instagram, Twitter.
I'm your boy Vanimal. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter. That's Vanimal Channel. Animal Channel with V on the front.
B1 Creates. B1 Creates on Instagram. Follow that up.
Mr. JP3, catch me on Inter
Inter.
Inter.
Instagram. Catch me on Instagram and Twitter.
And JJ, man, where can they find you and all the good stuff you're doing,
JJ
man?
Bola, JJ_Bola on all the socials and JJBola.com as well for the book stuff.
Yeah, JJ.com.
Yeah.
JJBola.com.
Yeah.
Most stuff, man. Alright, guys, man. So until next time, peace.
Peace.
Yo, it's your boy B1 Creates here. Welcome to the post-credit section of the Post Credits Podcast. We are joined by a special guest, Mr. JJ Bola.
In the house.
Sir.
So it's kind of thing we do after every episode. We do a post-credits.
Okay.
For the namesake.
Uh-huh.
So I've got, I don't know, because this trivia? Or, yeah, let's call it trivia. We've got a little trivia. Obviously,
Ooh.
topic of books.
Okay.
You know
Wasn't
what I'm saying?
expecting this. Let's go.
Can anyone here tell me? Look at AJ's thinking already. He don't even know the question. Can anyone here tell me like the top 5 best-selling ever
Books of all time.
of all time?
Harry Potter.
Wait.
Think about you.
Wait, is it fiction or non-fiction or
No,
everything?
books. It don't matter.
The Bible.
Well, I mean, it's got to be the Bible, isn't it?
I ain't like going for both of you. but-
I didn't even hear you.
It's had a long run. Like,
I didn't hear.
Yeah.
Okay, can you tell me the number?
A number.
it's got at least have sold 1 billion.
Bro,
But then which version?
Quintillions.
I'll go for 1 billion at least.
it's got, I mean, it's
3.9.
Billion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
3.9 billion.
So that's one out
So
of
that's
5.
top. That's
Alright, Bill.
far gone.
That's clear, yeah.
No Drake. You know what I'm saying?
Decent.
So
That's
number
one.
2, no one's getting this. I don't care. Nobody's getting this.
Nobody's getting this.
Nobody's
yeah?
getting it.
Give us a clue.
No.
Or is it fiction?
It's a book.
Alice in Wonderland.
No, it's got to be the Quran,
Quran,
isn't
that's what I
it?
was
Yeah.
thinking. Nope.
Really?
Alright,
Nope.
I don't
Is it in
know.
the billions as well?
Nope.
Damn.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it?
It's called The Quotations from the Works of Mao Zedong.
Yeah.
Okay.
800 million.
Quotations of
That makes sense. But basically, when Mao Zedong was the supreme ruler of China,
Jeez, man, no, man, don't think that,
it was like he basically everyone had to. It was by law, like everyone. It was forced, like
yeah? Oh,
everyone
so
had
this
to.
is a forced 800 bill.
Basically, yeah. Like, imagine you're essentially like a communist dictator of a country,
yeah.
and everyone has
Buy my
to read
shit,
your
bro.
ideology, like
Like, get my mixtape, basically.
yeah, like. But imagine, you buy my mixtape, but I rule the country.
Okay, cool. So now this is where you lot should get this. Who comes in at number 3?
Harry Potter, innit?
Anyone else?
Yeah, I'd go with that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Same.
Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Come on.
Numbers.
Which one?
Hey,
Which one, Dave?
I reckon 500 million.
You close?
Which game? Which Harry Potter?
I think just the whole thing.
Ah, the whole one.
Yeah.
Numbers, man.
I say like 550.
Okay, Courtney, numbers.
I would say 475.
I'm going with 7.
What did you? 7. 7 what?
1050.
What did you say?
I said 5.
Okay, Courtney's closest. 400 mil.
Hey,
Oh, okay.
come on now.
What's next?
What's next? I would say top selling book would be.
Okay. Across all markets, then.
Okay.
Oh, 50 Shades of Grey.
No. I thought you.
I don't know about you.
No, I know.
No, but you should get this.
No, I know. That's why I thought 50 Shades of Grey.
Now, what is it? If you know, what is
I
it?
didn't think it'd be number 2. I thought it'd be.
Say it.
I didn't think it'd be number 4. Sorry.
Say it.
I don't even know.
No, man, you ain't got to answer.
No.
I've already given an answer. You man always have to give an answer. If you man get it wrong,
What's this guy gassing for? I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm out.
What's the number?
103 million.
103
103 million?
103 million.
You shut the hell up, man.
Books. Talking about books.
that's whack.
Top selling.
The
books of all time.
disparity in the numbers is mad, you know.
Nah.
Yeah,
It
it's
goes
mad.
from 3.9 to 700.
No!
What?
Go on.
I'm out. I'm
Yeah,
out
I
about
don't know.
this.
Lord of the Rings.
I knew it, man.
Yeah,
I would have said it, but I was like,
yeah, you know what I mean.
I thought that was number 5. I didn't think it was number 4.
oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So that's top 5, yeah.
No, one more.
That's
Oh, there's one more. That's top 4.
What's the last?
The last one,
Wait.
Fast and Furious didn't write any books, right?
This guy. Let me check. No.
No, I feel like it's got to be. Hold on. Surely the Oxford Dictionary or the dictionary's got to be up there or something.
No.
No?
Book, film, book.
That's mad though. How is the dictionary not up?
Do you know what I mean? Or maybe language differences.
So what I said to you before.
It's true, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, then say it then.
The Alchemist.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Paulo Coelho, yeah?
Alchemist,
You read that, yeah?
of course.
Yeah.
65 million copies.
Really?
Yeah.
So goes
Wow.
the Bible, that Chinese dude, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings.
Chinese dude.
Alchemist.
Man, that's big for Harry Potter, isn't it? I guess.
It really is.
Yeah, no, it's big, yeah.
But Harry Potter, how many books is there in Harry Potter? 8?
I'm not too
No,
sure.
no, that's bad.
I think maybe 7. Actually, no. One is a 2-part, so it might be 8.
Speaking of which, you talked about that movie being rejected plenty of times before being published.
Yeah.
Same thing happened with J.K. Rowling, right?
Yeah. She got
rejected
rejected.
a hell of times. And
I got
that's-
rejected a lot as well.
What, the basket? Or
Damn, you gotta do me like that. Yeah, ouch.
I remember.
Yeah, but you know, book stuff, but I ain't sold 100 million yet, so
Soon come, man.
soon come.
But yeah, man,
That's the plan. That's the plan. That's the
plan,
journey,
man.
man.
that was my little post credit for you guys.
Thank you,
Enjoy those
B1.
numbers.
Alright.
Yeah, man. We out. Get on the socials, all of that. Peace.
Peace.